All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Saturday Accountability. It is day one of week three, week two of Virtual Powerhouse, our first weekend post Ignite. I know we already dropped ones and twos. Drop a three if you were at Ignite. Ooh, Valerie. Yes, I don't know what happened, but it lasted a few hours and it was absolutely awful, but I made it. Okay. Thank you more for doing that. I appreciate that. All right. So, what did I say? Ones if you drop a one if you are doing Powerhouse, drop a three if you went to Ignite. Um, as I'm sure you guys can imagine, post Ignite, I had a list. I had a list of things that I was like, ooh, we could dive into quite a few things here. If you were not at Ignite, what are you doing with your life? And are you already ready for the next one? Because man, oh man. Partial powerhouse. Perfect. I love it. Partial powerhouse is still powerhouse. Um, so something that's just been I always go with what feels most resonant, right? Like what really feels the realist for me, because I feel like if I stay in that lane, what's real for me is very likely real for other people, or it will become real for other people. And so what's really been like not heavy on my heart, because it's not heavy, but strong within me, is the power of 1 year. Like literally the miracle that 1 year can become for you if you choose it. So I posted this on Instagram, just a little like snippet um, of just I've been doing some major reflection. Last year, Ignite was my first event with Symmetry. I was about a month into my business. My life was an absolute mess. I was an absolute mess. And despite there being a lot of life and a lot of excuses and a lot of reasons why now probably was not the time to start a new business. I've started a few businesses before in ideal circumstances, and even that has challenges. And last year, um, I was probably in one of the deepest, darkest places that I've been in my whole life. Um, After having my daughter, I think many people do this when they have children, you have a bit of an identity crisis. And I knew for a fact I did not want to keep doing what I had been doing. And I found myself once again Lyft driving, because Lyft driving has always been um my caulking, the like conduit, the thing that I do when I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. Because Lyft driving, I can just get in my car, I can drive, and I can make money, and that's fantastic. And I also, every time I have done that and I've resorted back to Lyft driving, I've come to a point where I've had a pretty incredible epiphany, because I also don't want to be Lyft driving. And I live in Detroit. Like, I don't want to be um, putting all those miles on my car. I don't want to be risking my life. I don't want to be dealing with, um, you know, it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. I'm not going to get too much into the weeds there. So the idea is that prior to this, I was Lyft driving. I was so depressed. I had some really traumatizing and frightening things, honestly, happening in my life at the time. And a week before going to Ignite, I was in the ICU for 5 days. I woke up in the middle of the night one night in severe septic shock. My organs were starting to all shut down. I had no idea, absolutely no idea that I had pneumonia. They think I had pneumonia for about 6 weeks. And that little piece of pneumonia that they couldn't even find on a chest x-ray, they had to do a CAT scan for it. That little bit of pneumonia turned into a staph infection, and I went septic. And I spent 5 days in the ICU, and I made it to conference. I knew nobody. I looked back at all my photos from Ignite last year, you guys. I didn't take pictures with anybody because I didn't know who the heck anybody was. Like, I have a picture with Christina and I have a picture with Cree and Kevin, because that's like who I knew, right? Um, but the whole point, there was something in me that said, this is it. This is it. Like this is it checks all of your boxes and boxes that I didn't know I needed checked in prior. But every time I started a business, every time I started something new, and I've done a lot of things, every job I've had, there's new boxes that get added to the list of things that we are willing to tolerate or that we need or that we want or that kind of create this ideal circumstance. And from what I could see from the outside coming into this and getting started, every box I had ever put on my list was either for sure checked or potentially checked. Every single one. And so, despite all the life and all of the really good reasons why I had at no point, if I called Cree and Kevin said, I cannot make it to Ignite, would they have held that against me because of what was happening in my world? So, fast forward 1 year, a little bit more than 1 year because Ignite was in February last year. So, fast forward 1 year. The ways in which I am a completely new person, the clarity I have of where I'm going. There is money in my bank account. You guys, I did not use my credit card at conference. I used my debit card. I have been living off credit cards. Like I used my debit card because I had money in my bank account. I'm not where I thought I would be, but I'm in a completely different place. I am happy. I am stable. I am safe. I am grounded. I am clear. I am motivated. I had no motivation back then. I was running on discipline and fistics, but that's about all I had. I am inspired. I am in an energy where I can actually receive support, where I can actually dream and think big. Like thinking big, dreaming big, that sounds really cute, but when you are in survival mode, those things are not available. There is no access to dream big when you literally are trying to make it through the day. And in 1 year, I have transformed into just this in a way, I'm not where I thought I would be a year from now, but all of that was kind of based on like cute things that I knew nothing about. But I am further along internally than I probably ever could have imagined I'd be in 1 year. When I started, I was like, oh, people get to AO in 8 months. Cool. I can do that in a year. Like people are making 10, 20, 30, $40,000 a year. Cool. I'll do that in a year. So all these things that I'm like, yeah, cool. Okay. But when you don't know what something takes, it's really hard to like set that goal, which is why we tell like why in the beginning your goals are activity based, right? Not results driven, because you don't really know what it takes to create the result that you need. And so you focus on the activity so that you can figure out what it's going to take. And so I didn't really make a plan to go AO. I thought, I was like, oh yeah, I'll do that. But there wasn't like a plan set in place, right? Um, I think a couple of times I had sat down to make that plan, but like what I realized and kept realizing time after time, probably 3 or 4 times over the course of the year, is that I don't need to get to AO to call my first year a success. Right? I don't need a certain number of dollars in my bank account or in deposits to feel like my first year was a success. Um, and this is kind of honestly surprising to me because I'm a results driven person. But yes, I have results that make me feel like I've been successful in the past year. But really, the success is trusting my intuitive hit that said, do whatever you can to be at conference, to show up, to touch your business every day, whatever that looks like. Maybe it's just being on accountability. Some days that was the only way that I could touch my business. And in some days and ways, it looked different than that. Because that intuitive hit, that call, that pull to be in this space and to stick around when it got hard, like that in and of itself is something that I am proud of and something that can define success. listening to your intuition, turning the volume down on the voices that tell you you're not enough, or that this isn't worth it, or that whatever excuse is getting in the way is more important. Here's the thing, you guys, two things can be true. Something can be happening in your life that is really, really challenging, right? Whether that is your own health, whether that is relationships, whether that is sick kids, whether that is financial troubles, like whatever it is that's getting in your way, you can, I promise you, and I only say this because I have walked it, you can find a way to be present for what is happening while also working really hard so that that you can get out of that, right? Some of those you can't get out of, right? We can't never be sick ever again, or we can't make all of our family members immortal, or give our children immune systems of steel when they're literally like building their immune system, right? Like there are going to be things that happen, and I really just like, it can't be negotiable. It can't be conditional. You might have to make a plan and change that plan. But if things keep coming up that become more important than whatever it is you are here to create, then there will always be something more important than and that thing. And we heard this at conference, right? If you want the result, but you're not willing to do the work, and when I say the work, I mean the work, right? Not just the dialing, like the work that we talk about here, right? Then you don't really want it that bad. And that's something you get to be honest with yourself about. And I think that's a success, to be really clear and really real with yourself about what do you actually want. For me, clearly, I didn't want to be AO in 1 year. Otherwise, I would have been AO in 1 year. Okay, there are birds right above me, and I'm like nervous that they're gonna like poop on my computer. Um, they're very squirrel. But you guys, this is mm, I get frustrated. I had a conversation with Jim. I get so frustrated when I see people who have so much potential. They have everything it takes. Maybe their circumstances aren't ideal. Maybe their life is not ideal right now, but they have everything that they need inside of them to do just as much, if not more, as me. We had this conversation after I found out I was number two rookie of the year in the Jim Larson Master, which made no freaking sense to me because I felt like I I was at maybe 50 to 60%. And I told Jim, I said, I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated that more people aren't at that level with me. Because there are people who started with me that have better circumstances, who had less life happen. And we never know what somebody is going through, but I know some of them. Like I know some of them. And I know that they had more comfortable, right? And this conversation came up a lot at Ignite, right? When your back isn't up against the wall, it's actually harder. It's harder to create results here when your back's not up against the wall. It's like, what do you got to do to like get your back, or see that your back actually is up against the wall? Because if at any moment a shoe could drop, then it would change your life. Your back's up against the wall. Maybe you have money in the bank to pay the bills, right? Maybe you don't need this. But if there are any factors in your life where something could change, maybe your back is up against the wall and you're pretending like it's not. There's different perspectives here. So you guys, my invitation for you is to really think about Ignite next year. Where do you want to be? Where do you want to be at Ignite next year? I want to be teaching a breakout. I don't even care what it's about. I want to be teaching a breakout. I want to be AO. I want a team. I want at least 10, if not 20 people at Ignite with me next year. And now that I know what it takes to do that, now I can get to work. But I really want you guys to think about, where do you want to be at Ignite next year? Where do you want to be for national conference? 6 months, right? We heard that a lot too, right? Leaders and winners are building their businesses from conference to conference, and we are very blessed that these conferences are 6 months apart. So you got 6 months. Where are you going to be in 6 months? where are you going to be in 1 year? What are you committed to? Like, no matter what, committed to. What is the goal? Is it activity based? Is it results based? And what is going to happen? What are you going to do? You got to think about this. What's going to happen? Because things are going to happen. And we have to get really, really clear on the prices that we're willing to pay. So when the kids get sick, when we get sick, when life happens, when money shit happens, like what are we doing? What are we doing? And how are we finding our way through that? Who are we reaching out to support? How are we plugging in? Because I will tell you guys, when things get hard, you got to double down on plugging in and being connected. We can't take a step back. Every time you take a step back, you're slowing down your process. So when things get hard and you feel like pulling back, dig in, lean in. Who are you leaning into? There's so much support, so much accountability here, and we're so blessed for that. I have not looked at any of these comments. I'm going to leave it there, but I really just want to, like, if you have not done this already, by the end of the weekend, by the end of day tomorrow, where are you in 6 months? Where are you in 1 year? Write it down or record your voice in present tense. It is September 22nd, 2026. I'm on my way to national conference in Denver. This is what I've accomplished in the last 6 months. Write it out. I'm at Ignite. I'm on my way to Ignite. I just bought my Ignite ticket. Here's what I created in the past year. Write it down. Say it to yourself. Read it every day. Record it and listen to yourself every single day. And let's check in 6 months in a year. Let's see what's happened. Like, and maybe it's not exactly what you wanted, right? I wanted AO in a year. So maybe you can overshoot it a little bit, right? I didn't hit AO in a year, but I'm not mad at what I did. Okay. I love you guys. We're a little over. I can maybe hang out for a couple of minutes. I know you guys are getting ready for Powerhouse, but I'll stop the recording, hang out for a few minutes. I'm going to take a look at these comments. So if you got to go, switch over to gallery so I can see all your beautiful faces. For those of you, Teo's here. Hey, Teo. Cassie, excited to see some new faces here. I'm going to stop recording. I'll hang out for a minute. And I cannot wait to see what you guys create, and we'll check in. We'll check in 6 months and see where you're at. And if you want to share those goals in the group chat, feel free to do that. I love you. Happy Saturday. Happy Powerhouse. And